and he's stopping in the exact place where I want him to stop. This is an update on our newest build, Mantis. We want to go over the changes we made in the time between the last episode and now. We will start with the chassis rails itself and put the car aside for a second. We first started with this rail, which was not exactly the way we wanted it, so we made a few adjustments also in skid wise, mainly in these hole positions, which were out of tune with the ones over here. So there was a number of things, but it was a first try, not too bad. And then we have a second iteration, and as you can see, it is a lot shorter, but we also moved these hole positions up and backwards. And on this one we already came really close. Maybe you can see it. This is where the upper link was, so, and I actually want it to be over there so we can play around as time goes by. These are now both removed because we went to the next iteration, being this one. I hope this camera picks it up. I will show it to the other camera in a second also. But the main difference is that we made the chassis shorter. That 2 centimeters we took off in the rear, we added to the front, and we have a lot of hole positions over here now. We mainly did that because, yeah, we had our upper link in the good position, but the shock position was way too much backwards, making the shocks leaning too much backwards, and we ran in tire shock issues. So that is fixed now with this design. There might be a fourth one, but I think we are really close because I just bolted this completely on and I had no issues anywhere. I will first show it to this camera for a second so you can see what we're talking about. Centimeters in the rear went to the front. The shock position is straighter and no longer interfering with the tires. About all the hole positions as they are right now, well, we have a brace in the rear which makes it possible to completely compress the shocks. We are with the rear shock, which is a 92mm shock, exactly in the middle of all the hole positions. We have an extra brace over here which may not be necessary on the final design in carbon fiber, but this one is in PCTG or PETG, something like that, very strong filament, heat resistant, which we use to print our designs. The upper link on the front still has a lot of options to move, so that's okay. The rear links are in place. This is the skid design. I like this skid design. I've used it before. This is the skid design we use now. This is center, which makes it possible to twist the rear a lot. On the front we try to avoid that, to keep the front more or less under control. What else did I want to say? Yeah, the upper link now, as you can see, is mounted exactly in the middle of these how many holes are that? Or of these 7 holes. We have a really nice pinion angle, completely extracted and compressed. It does barely move, so that's a nice thing to have. It sits as this, so that's also a really nice thing. What else do we want to say about the car itself? The shocks. These are DYRC shocks. They are in titanium. We went through the process of opening them and filling them and checking them out. Might be some pictures up because I had a few issues. They are basically the same shocks to fill as a Desert Lizard shock. That's yeah, it's almost the same. These do have the springs external. The springs are still the original springs. I have softer springs on the way. I don't think it's necessary in the rear, but I'm not sure about the front yet. The oil weight, we might have went a little light in the rear because we have, I think, 250 CST. We are at 400 in the front, which is better. Biggest remark on the shocks was the pistons that came with it. Were good pistons, 4-hole pistons, but 3 of the 4 holes, maybe there's a picture somewhere on the screen, 3 of the 4 holes were covered by the E-clip. So we slotted out 2 of the holes, which are now, as we say, 2 slots on the sides, and that seems to work really fine. What else did we do on the car? The rear links, I sourced them from AliExpress. It's just a kit. This came also with that kit. It's really easy. They fit. I kinda designed, well, the chassis rails were designed, but then I just adjusted them to these links, so I didn't have to fiddle with the links. But more important, if people want to have this chassis and buy it, I can just direct them to where they can source these links from, and they will just put your rod ends on and the balls in and put them on. That will work for a different type of axles, as we have enough holes. We have enough holes over here, so these links are just great. We work with the Creeper T box. The Creeper T, as you can see, I hope you can see it, we leveled it out. So the skid is an 18-degree skid, and then we leveled it back out, the skid, the gearbox. We leveled the gearbox back out because we wanted to work with a forward motor mount, and we have our forward motor mount. It is way forward. There's a nice angle on the shaft, on the axle, on the drive shaft from the spur gear to the gearbox, and there is still some play in here, so no worries there. As we have all these holes, we can just adjust that forward motor mount to the place where we want to place it. This is not a final one. As you can see, we have spaced it out, but the final design will fit the chassis exactly. I think we are at 72 millimeters now at the skid. We started really narrow as this actually, but there was not enough room to have our upper links in the right positions and the shaft and the forward motor mount, so we widened that up a little bit. Sliders also, they were 27 millimeters. We adjusted them to 30 millimeters now. That is mainly to fit the ESC on here. Talking about electronics, a quick pass by electronics. We still have a Rhino ESC. This is the 80 amp version laying around. We have a Rhino S12, the 1470 kV, and I think, as you can see, these wires come through this lightning bolt in the chassis. If all goes well, I should be able to make something and solder this up straight on the ESC. And then we have to figure out how we get to the other side, because we will then put the battery, a 4S, a 650 4S on the other side. So I think that will work really well. There's still a little spot over here to put the receiver, so everything is on here then. I did weigh the car without electronics, I did weigh the car with the electronics, and I did weigh the car with the body. That body might be this Beetle body, which has been collecting dust under the bench, and I think, yeah, I probably will cut like 75% away of that body, but I think that body will fit this build perfectly. Yeah, I think we will end up with this Beetle body. Yeah, you can see I don't remember where I got it from, but there seems to be an option to put lights in here, and I might have lights laying around, or I just cut it out on the hood. We will see how that ends up. There's also, there should be up a picture right now on the weight with the body. I think we ended up on 2,500 grams with a really good weight distribution of 61-39, I think, but both cross weight, left and right, front, left and right, and cross weight are 50%. I think I saw that. I just put it on the scales, but it's on the phone which I'm filming with right now. Last part of the electronics is the low profile OCS servo, which is mounted nice up front. On this axle, I would almost say you could get away with a full height servo. I think you just could, because we can space it up a little bit more. We can use spacers and bring it up, and as I can see how much room we have here, that is that's almost, no, it's not my finger, but it's like almost a centimeter of play. So yeah, I think you can get away with a full height if you put some spacers on the front. The tires, as you see at the moment, are the Bossman from J Concept. We tested them, they were really nice. They needed some other inserts, they got some other inserts in the meantime. I like them, so they might be on here, but as it is a straight axle build, it might just as well end up on 525 tires, because we have some tires on the way from Rhino RC. I don't know how you pronounce it. The newest one, the 525, is it Tractite or Trackites or something like that? So those are on the way, and they might just go straight on here. Not sure about that one yet. Mechanically, the axles we did, we have the shocks, we have our links on the rear, we have our front links. We went with brass on the lower, and we went with aluminium on the front. We have our tie rod already in place. We also went with a brass one, and I like it. It fits the theme. Now, looking at the steering angle, it is limited by the stops on the axle, not by the drag link, the tie rod. Sorry, the tie rod. There is still room to get a little bit more out of it. There is still light in between, both left and right. So yeah, I might take some of the stops off. It is not a bad steer angle. I think we are at 45 degrees. We'll be close. We will see what this one does. We ended up on, I was about to say 330, but let's just measure that up. Where we ended up. Yeah, let's say we might call it 327. 327 is where we ended up. On these wheels we have 240 wide in the rear and like 255, 256 in the front. If you change wheels and tires, that gives you completely different sizes. So for what it's worth, on this set of tires it's 240, 255. I'm thinking, what else did I want to say? Yeah, we have a tie rod. We need to make a, is it the drag link? Yeah, it's the drag link we still need to make. We need a good servo horn. The one that came with it is actually a really long one, so we're not going to use that one in this build, because yeah, it's about 15 millimeters too long, so not going to use that one. What else can I say about why did we choose this gearbox and this setup ring and pinion gear. We sourced a 90 tooth from AliExpress, and we have a 12 tooth. We are talking about 48 pitch. 1290, which gives us a 7.5 reduction, ring and pinion only. And then we go through the gearbox, which gives us about 30% underdrive. We have ring and pinions in here 830, both rear and front, so we stay at about 30% underdrive. The final reduction at the front axle at the moment is 55%, and at the rear axle is 75%. That is good. That is good. I like that on a straight axle. I like a lot of reduction. I'm not sure if we're gonna stay with the 1470 and the Rhino. Looking at that much reduction, I might go to a higher kV motor, but we'll see how this one ends up. Now we can still play with the spur gear and the pinion. We can go to a bigger pinion. For example, if we were to put a 15 on there, that would give us a reduction of 15 on 90. That will give us a reduction of 6. And then at the end, at the wheels, the front would be 44 and the rear would be 60. So that would probably be better numbers to use with a straight axle. So we can go always we want. We have a lot of maneuverability, both mechanically, electronically, on the reduction wise. Can I say this about my own build? It's very versatile. I will say it. It's very versatile. What else do we have? We have the 30% underdrive. That might be too much. That's not really a problem. In that, if that is the case, we can go to instead of a 830 in the front axle, we can go to a 833, which will give us an extra reduction in the front, but will reduce the underdrive from around 30% to about 21%, and that might be better depending on what tires we are driving and maybe also the terrain we are driving. So yeah, what else did I want to say about where we are now with our Mantis? Let me think for a sec. We have the 92mm shocks. I'm not sure if they are too long yet. Maybe I want to drop to 85, and I have 85 laying around. These are black ones, the fake Draftex. This is with a new seal package closing with the threads on. I have silver ones with the old way of closing the seal pack. So we can go to 85s. That would be a solution if the shocks are too long. As you can see, we have a black shaft, drive shaft, from the motor to the gearbox. I want to have more black shafts, so we will change this one out, the silver one, and also the front one, to cut to lengths. We bought black cut to lengths, and that's gonna reduce the weight of this one. But I already was looking at how much play does do we have over here, because these cut to length ones do not have as much play as these ones. So let's just say we take a marker and put a mark over here, and now we do this, and as you can see, there's barely movement. That is like 2 millimeters. So this is the perfect car to use one of these cut to length drive shafts. And also in the front it is more than one reason. Of course, we want to be all blacked out, but this is a rather beefy shaft, and the cut to lengths are a little bit narrower, which gives us a little bit more of play in the front. Not that we need it, because we have play everywhere. So, but we want to do it anyway. It sounds okay, despite the fact that there is There is a coffee grinder in here. I did not change it out. I want to run it first and see if it smoothens out. What else is there? On the axles, the pumpkin covers are still in plastic. We have brass ones, so if we want to put more weight in the rear axle or in the front axle, we can do that. These, I have no idea what these are called. These brass things on the end of the axles. I have these on the way in brass with a hanger on there, so we can add some extra weight in the rear. The servo mount, the BTA mount, it's a plastic one. We will see if that is enough. If it's resistant enough, it stays. Otherwise, we have an aluminium one to drop in there. As we said, we have the 33 option for the front, or otherwise, if we don't want to go up in the front, we can also go down in the rear. So in that case, we take a 24. So that's also an option to go to a 24 in the rear. We will see how that works out. These bearings, I think we all have a lot of those. It's the 11 by 5 and then 4 millimeters wide. To build the axles, I needed to buy the SCX10 Pro bearing pack, and I suppose these are all the bearings that go in the gearbox. Of course, yeah, these are all the ones I have left after building the axles. So it's always nice to have some of those, because I also use them in, if I have an axle carrier or a bearing carrier, these are the ones that fit in there perfectly. Did I forget something? I'm looking around, what's on the bench? No. Well, I think we went over most things, as one does whilst rambling about his hobby. The next one will be a runner. We have a roller. I could have took you along on the rides to build this one completely, but I already did that on the Tsunami build, and there's not so much difference in building the car. If I have a request to do that, I can do it, but I think you guys know how to build, how to fiddle this all together. The main things is what I wanted to show you is how the design is going, how the rails are working, how everything falls together. Yeah, this is maybe, well, let's measure this up, because this is the reason I probably want to go to an 85mm shock. But then on the other hand, these are really nice titanium shocks, and I want to test them. So we are still touching. That is 155mm of that might be too much. The rear is, yeah, 150. So yeah, that's maybe a little bit too much of the good stuff. Now let me see about the pumpkin swings. How does this one do? That is actually not too bad. That's healthy. And the front one, can we see the front one also? The front one is actually isn't moving. So okay, maybe if I go one hole backwards, then there is still room to drop the pumpkin output, as I see now. Yes, there is a lot of room. So maybe I drop it a little bit. What that will give me is more caster. Yeah, I would have to take a wheel off. Maybe I can quickly do that. Take the wheel off. So let me try to set this kind of straight. As you can see, let me grab a ruler. This is the amount of caster we have now, but bigger caster will give me a better steer angle. Also another way of the tires touching the ground. So if I just could tilt it a little bit more, well, let's say I leave it as is, but I keep in mind I can do that. Going back one hole, might be a little bit too much, but I can also adjust the length of the upper links. So there is still room for play. Let's put it that way. There is room to play with this one. And now I'm in doubt what is going to be the most beneficial. Grinding the stops off and give it a bigger steering angle, or changing the kingpin angle. Not sure about that. I love the Bossman. I love the Bossman. I need a car to put the Bossman on. Yeah. So I think I will close this episode over here. I've been rambling long enough. We will see what the editor leaves in the final video. If all goes well, it goes online now next Wednesday. It is Monday, so I need to hurry up, get this to the editor, and then yeah, I have other material, but I'm in the flow of this project now. So let's keep doing this for a little while. I love these axles. I really love these axles. Yeah, I love the whole Mantis build, but these axles and the shocks, yeah, I'm finding new things on this in this hobby, and I like it. Yeah. Okay. Closing this one over here. Hope to see you on the next one. Bye.